30% of Americans have insomnia. I was starting to get emails from people like out there who I don't know, and they were like, I've been struggling with depression all my life, and this product has changed my life. If you are passionate about the problem that you're solving, and if you're really passionate about the impact that you're having in the world, then through those ups and downs, you're going to be way more resilient and happy about the work that you do.
Yunha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. We all like to sleep, so interested to hear more about how you're going to help us with that. But looking at some of the history of your entrepreneurial journey, you've been doing this for a while. How did it start? Have you always felt like an entrepreneur?
No. In fact, I didn't, when I started my first company, I didn't even know that I was becoming an entrepreneur. So I started my career in investment banking, and banking is sometimes some people love it, sometimes hate it. I was in the latter category. Mm-hmm. So as I was thinking about, okay, if I'm gonna work this hard, might as well go save lives. And I was actually applying to go to med school actually, because I wanted to be a doctor rather. And then this was in 2012.
Okay.
And around that time, only 30-40% of Americans had smartphones at that time. Mm-hmm. And I just got my Android phone, and I just saw how the lock screen was a very just an ugly screen with a timer on it.
Right.
So then I was thinking this could be the next billboard, just like how you have ads on the billboard, right? We're looking at the screen hundreds of times a day.
Yeah.
So that's how the idea of let's make this into a billboard and get advertisers to advertise here, just an idea that I started off with.
Yeah.
Got all friends and got some investment, and next thing I know, apparently this is a tech company, and now I'm an entrepreneur. So I kind of fell into it. And then after I did it, I think it's kind of hard to get out of it, almost because it's almost you get addicted to this idea of you make something from nothing, and then the next thing you know, all these people are using your product and they get help from it. So yeah, that's how I ended up with a decade of entrepreneurship now.
I've definitely heard that before, especially from, let's say, somebody who went from the entrepreneur life to venture capital, say. And they say, I miss being part of something at the beginning and having control over it and having a vision. So yeah, it sounds like you're a founder at heart.
Yeah, there's some magic to it.
All right, so we've got advertising billboards on Android screens. Where do we go from there?
From there, it was such a hard business to run, a business that's burning a ton of money because we were renting out people's lock screen, right? Mm-hmm. And it was early days in mobile advertising, and this idea of advertising on the lock screen was new. So I was running around the country selling ads, and we were burning a lot of cash. That ended up causing me so much stress and anxiety, and it was to the max that I've ever felt. So anyways, fast forward, we ended up pivoting to more of a different business model where we're no longer paying people for the lock screen, but delivering different value prop, showing content and news articles. But anyways, from that experience, I experienced a burnout. Mm-hmm. And one day, I woke up and I just couldn't get out of bed. It was emotionally,
it was bad.
Physically, just I could not. And that's when I knew okay, this is what depression is. Huh. And I started seeing a therapist, and my therapist introduced me to meditation. And then, then the next thing I know, I am doing this meditation thing. Actually, this was in 2013 now. Meditation wasn't that hot yet. So I was embarrassed to meditate. So I would go into a bathroom in the middle, in between meetings, go into the bathroom and I would meditate and then come out. So that's how my meditation practice started. Mm-hmm. So after that company, I went to Stanford Business School, telling myself I'm never starting a company again. That was way too stressful. And that's
so. What were you wanting to learn when you went to business school? What were you thinking you'd pivot to?
I wanted to make friends. And I told this in my interview because I felt right after college, in your early 20s, and you're supposed to go out to bars and you know, clubs and hang out. But like, I felt like I was just like working all the time. And so I felt like I was like missing this like friendship and like connections with people as part of my life. And being at school, I feel like it's such a special like opportunity to make this like lifelong friendship.
Sure.
And also like you get to be intellectually stimulated in these classes.
Yeah, meet other smart people and learn from them.
So that was the reason I went. Good.
We're at Stanford, and where do we go from there?
So I was starting to get involved in the meditation community. And lots of meditation teachers would like hit me up saying, hey, I heard that you're like that app girl, like the app founder. Could you like make an app for me, kind of like Headspace, but for them?
Okay.
And they wanted to have their voice in the meditation app.
Okay.
So then I was like, this is like actually like a waste of everyone's time to create an app for every single meditation teacher. There's got to be a platform like Spotify that allows you to distribute your content. So then that's how like it was a passion project. Like I wasn't trying to start a company with that. But anyway, so built this thing where all these meditation teachers could distribute their content. My friends started using it. My friends at Stanford also use it. And then it just like spread it out like organically, word of mouth. And then I was starting to get emails from people, like real people out there who I don't know. And they were like, you know, I've been struggling with depression all my life. And this product has changed my life. And
did the product have a name at this point?
Simple Habit.
Okay. So this was Simple Habit.
It's a Simple Habit.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, I just came from starting an ad tech business where the kind of emails I would get every day is like, where's my money, right? To like all of a sudden, like, your product changed my life. And I was like, whoa, this is so different. And I feel so great about myself and like what I do. And I was just thinking like, after Stanford, the kind of job that I would want to have is basically this kind of job.
Yeah.
Where I'm like having a positive impact in this world. And then at that time, I was like starting to date this guy who was also an entrepreneur. He went through Y Combinator and he was like talking about how great it is. And so I applied to YC and got in, and then, you know, got me to be like, you know, actually I'm going to drop out of school and do this full time and like make this into a real company.
You must have gotten pretty good feedback at this point to say, okay, I'm out of here. I think that this is my next pivot.
Yeah, we were generating quite a bit of revenue. Actually, so like I was in one of the classes. The moment where I decided to do it was very quick. Like we were generating maybe $1,000 of revenue a day at that time. And we as in like me and a contractor international.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what kind of team did you have?
It was all
pretty bare
contractors
bones.
at this point.
Yeah,
all working remotely. Yeah, one time, so I was like in a class, and you know, it's like a class where you're supposed to like debate, like you're in a circle and we're making $1,000 a day, and the page where you're supposed to subscribe, the like basically the purchase page, had a bug. So we started having all these customers reaching out saying like, I want to buy your product, but I cannot because, you know, it doesn't work. And I was in the class and getting all these messages, and I'm like, here I am trying to contribute to the discussion, but at the same time trying to fix this thing. And I was like, you know, I'm not doing justice to anybody. Like,
right. Yeah.
I'm not
totally
fair for
here.
them. Yeah, exactly. So that's what got me to just, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to like focus on one thing.
Did anybody tell you were crazy?
That I was, so many. Yeah. So after that, I actually went to the admissions office like right after that class, and I said, like, can I do a deferral? And they were like, no, the last time we gave a deferral, they never came back. So we're like, okay, so then I have to drop out. So I just dropped out, and I called up my boyfriend at that time, and I told him, and he's like so surprised because we've never talked about this. Right. I told my parents, who had no idea this was happening either. So it was pretty abrupt, but I felt really good about the decision. And then the next day I moved back up to San Francisco.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. So then you're just deep into Simple Habit. You've got a big user base, a growing user base. You've probably fixed the bug on the purchase button. And how did that evolve? How did it grow?
Yeah, it was a wild ride. We raised a Series A round. So we went through YC, raised a seed round, and then raised Series A round, grew this to over 7 million customers. And we had like hundreds of meditation experts at this point, even like therapists, executive coaches who create their content on our platform. And then one thing that we learned, and because we had meditations for pretty much like everything that you might be struggling with. Meditation for menopause, meditation for PMS, meditation for sleep, meditation before you have a hard conversation with someone. So like we had data around like what people struggle with throughout the day.
Sure.
And even like during which time of the day are they struggling with what. And what we saw in the data is that sleep is the number one reason why they're meditating. In fact, like less than 10% of our content library was designed for sleep, but it represented over 70% of user engagement.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what got me to be like, whoa, what's going on with these sleep people? At that time, I didn't have a sleep issue just yet. And I was starting to interview all these customers who were going through sleep issues. And one thing that I found is that these are people who didn't want to use melatonin. They don't want to use sleeping pills because of the side effects. So there's nothing else other than meditation that they can resort to. So then we were like, okay, starting to think about, okay, like we're doing a good job with the meditation stuff for sleep, but how can we like actually like resolve the root cause of their sleep issues to begin with? And then pandemic hit in 2020. And I actually started developing insomnia. And it got to a point where I was like spending 2 hours a night staring at the ceiling, unable to fall asleep. And at that point, I tried all kinds of meditation pills. And I was like struggling with the side effects of it. Like you feel super groggy in the morning when you wake up and you just don't feel like yourself.
Right. Yeah. You try to put yourself out, but you didn't really rest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You know this. It sounds like me. Yeah.
Especially pandemic. I mean, I think that you hear people talking a lot about having anxiety, depression, sleep issues, problems with alcohol, all sorts of stuff that they can at least say, in part, the pandemic jump-started a lot of this or exacerbated problems that were already there.
Because it also changed your routine. There's like so much uncertainty. And after struggling for a while, I signed up for Stanford Sleep Clinic. And they use this thing called CBTI, which is known to be like number one, like the best way to resolve your insomnia symptoms. And I was waitlisted for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there's not enough doctors in the United States who can deliver this.
Got it.
And there's just way too much demand. Like 30% of Americans have insomnia. Anyways, that's how I learned like this access to care for insomnia does not exist. And so, and it kind of like, I guess, unfortunately it happened for me, but fortunately for the business, I got to realize that. So we started to work with the doctors at the Stanford Sleep Clinic and some other clinics. And we started asking them, okay, like how can we digitize this thing so that people, like we can provide access?
Yeah.
And that's how we started working on digitizing like CBTI and some of the other stuff that they do at the clinic.
And how did you, was it because you already had connections at the school? Why did they listen to you?
We had a lot of user base with Simple Habit, right? 7 million people, and we know that they are struggling with meditation. So it wasn't, and like lots of doctors, they get excited about like
something new and
something new, but
a
also
new way to help.
Yeah, and like providing access in a scale, like at scale.
Sure.
Because a lot of these doctors are seeing like 10 patients a day, right? But like here we are talking about helping thousands all at once. And what the doctors told us is that, you know what, like this doesn't need to be in like one-on-one setting. In fact, it's because of insurance that this is how it is, but you can digitize this thing. So our team started building it. And the initial idea was that we would offer it to Simple Habit customers who are struggling with sleep. But later it ended up being that the market for sleep is bigger than the meditation market. And so then we ended up productizing it as a separate product called Sleep Reset.
Okay. All right.
And by the time we built the alpha MVP of this product, I was still on the wait list at the clinic.
Okay. So this is still what, 2020?
2020.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually was in the first cohort of customers that went through our MVP
Wow.
Yeah, and I went through it, and within like 3 weeks, my insomnia was gone.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a magic. Like I had such skepticism at first, like, how do you do this?
Yeah, or maybe it's going to take a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it was basically, there are a couple things in the program and I can go into if you want it, but basically that just resolved it. So I had no longer had insomnia, which is what got me to realize, you know what? Everyone on the team, like, stop what you're doing. We're all going to focus on sleep reset now.
Yeah.
Because this is the future of the company. Mm-hmm. So we did that. And that's how we ended up with 2 products. And recently we decided to sell Simple Habits so we can double down on sleep reset. So that's how it is now.
So what is next for this app? How do you want to grow it? Or do you like having sort of a single focus of, we're going to help you sleep better. That's what you're here for. That's what we're doing for you.
Right now we're focused on sleep only. Mm-hmm. And the reason is I think sleep is fundamental to your entire mental and physical well-being.
100%.
And yet it's such a unaddressed problem for insomnia. So anyways, I think the market for sleep is big. So I think opportunity is huge for us. And so in order to even nail sleep solution, I think there will be a lot of work involved. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just focus on sleep right now.
I know you mentioned the onset of the pandemic was kind of what kickstarted your sleep issues.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about how other people experienced that. But now that life has, in many ways, gone back to normal, whatever that is, people's sleep issues haven't gone away. So what is it? What do you feel like when someone says, help? Mm-hmm. You say, I've got an app, I'm going to help you. But what do you feel like is the biggest issue that everyone is experiencing that they don't realize yet?
There are so many different root causes of your sleep issues. So it's hard to generalize it because like everyone has like their own, and that's like the point of our program, which is like we look at your life and like come up with your own plan.
Like maybe you're eating something that's not agreeing with you,
or maybe you're sleeping at different so a lot of times people do this, which is like during the weekdays you sleep at the regular schedule, but on the weekend you sleep at like 2 hours later or something like that. So then it's basically you're putting yourself in a jet lag every single week, almost like as if you're traveling East Coast to West Coast.
Right.
Anyway, so there are a few of those, but there's one that like a lot of people don't know about, which is once you start having some of these insomnia symptoms, what happens is, so let's say I had a terrible night's sleep. Then today I'm going to try to go to bed much earlier to try to make up for it. But the thing is, if I cannot fall asleep and, I'm in bed now 2-3 hours, right? I'm starting to associate my time in bed with this time of stress and anxiety, staring at the clock and looking at the ceiling. And so now, like you kind of like what's it called, like the Pavlovian effect.
Right.
Do you know how dogs? Yeah. My dog, I treat my dog with like if the dog like hits a button, I give him treats. Or similarly, right? Like humans, you go into the bed, and last time you had that experience, had so much anxiety about going to bed. So now all of a sudden your hormones and like you're on the steroid now of stress and anxiety.
Might even be subconscious. You don't even know that you're just worked up.
Yeah, so that becomes a habit now. And that's what we call sleep anxiety. So most people with insomnia symptoms have sleep anxiety. And to break that cycle, it takes some complex work.
Is there anything that you've learned from your experience thus far that you just had no idea that you would have learned at this point?
I think I would have never predicted that I would start a company. By the way, I struggled with English even like after college. So like, yeah, the fact that I ended up starting a company and I'm fluent in English now, it's like unpredictable thing. That's one. The other one is like that I'm in like health and wellness and then I'm like doing meditation because I was like this hardcore type A banker. And I was like, meditation, that's like a woo-woo thing. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm like all bought in on meditation and the science of it, and now I'm like in wellness it's kind of crazy.
If there's any person or type of person that you could say inspires you? It sounds like your life took a different trajectory than what you might have thought it would have taken when you were, investment banking. Is there anything that a certain person or a certain type of person that that helped you become who you are today?
Yeah, there were quite a few, but the one that had the most impact on me, this is kind of embarrassing, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but my husband.
That's embarrassing.
Embarrassing because I've never admitted to him. I've never told him.
We won't tell him.
Yeah. But I think my husband had the most impact on me. He's quite different from me. He does not need meditation, and I tried to get him to meditate this weekend, and he would not do it because he's such a calm person, the most even-keeled person I know. And he's always so optimistic and positive. He always looks for the positive things. I always look for what's the problem? Let me go fix this.
Yeah.
Type of mindset, which means you are drawn to more the negative things, right?
Right. You might be a good operator, but you also focus on flaws.
Right. Exactly. He's shown me a different way of thinking, a different way of being, and he inspires me.
It's good to have a husband that's inspiring.
I'm embarrassed to show this video to him now.
You might, he said he's even keeled. He'll just be like, yeah, exactly.
You're fine.
Yeah. Everything's cool. Are there other people in your industry that you look towards? I guess the industry now being health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got friends who are in the industry who I admire. For example, Seju, he's a founder of Noom. Yes. I love his energy and just rawness. I have a good friend named Arum, who's the founder of Coffee Meets Bagel. And I just love her tenacity and the resilience that she runs her company with. She's been running Coffee Meets Bagel for over a decade. And during that time, she's had 2 kids. And as a woman, how do you have a career that's super demanding, but also have a family? She's the role model for that. Yeah.
Where would you like this to go next? I know you said you're focused on sleep, so that's what you're doing. Double down on sleep. But if it does evolve, where would you like it to go?
So today, about 30% of Americans struggle with insomnia. And most of them are using melatonin or sleeping pills. And there's a lot of research that shows that some of these sleeping pills can increase your risk of Alzheimer's. Not to mention the side effects that you deal with when you're on these pills. So the first thing I want to do is have them use sleep reset so that they can resolve their insomnia for good without any of these chemicals. So insomnia is the number one sleep issue. And then there are other types of sleep issues like
apnea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we would love to also solve for those, but that's a bit of a different technique than insomnia, which is why we're just focused on insomnia right now.
And do you feel like you sleep well these days?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Not only I feel really good about and I don't think I really understood how when people say you wake up feeling so excited to do your work, I was you just say it. But in general, I'm very passionate about the kind of impact that we have. I get emails and I look at our user testimonials about how they're finally able to sleep after a couple decades of struggling with insomnia. So that makes me so happy about what I do. So I sleep really well at night. Yeah.
So you obviously have a user base, loves your product. You're sleeping better. They're sleeping better. I would think that the more people who sleep better worldwide, and I don't know, everybody on the space station as well, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So what if you're thinking really big picture here, what do you think is the biggest benefit? Are we smarter? Are we nicer? Is it both?
Yeah. I'll start with the small picture to big picture, because there are big numbers out there around better sleep we're losing billions of dollars of employee productivity on sleep issues every year. There's all these accidents that happen. But to start with the small picture, if I don't sleep very well, the next day I'm going to be groggy and I'm going to be irritable. and I'll be mean to my husband and snap at him. I will not be fully myself at work and give bad directions or make bad decisions or say something mean or not very like on point. And that has ripple effects, right?
Sure.
All my employees and team members that are working with me gets impacted. They go home, they talk about this negative
bad day now.
Right, exactly. My husband has a bad day. He gives this bad energy to his own team members, and then who knows? Like one of us gets into an accident because we were not aware of our surroundings. Anyway, so that's how it like all starts, right? One like ripple effect, and like things happen. So yeah, in general, I think better sleep would make people healthier. Mm-hmm. We all know about some of the science around like poor sleep is linked to Alzheimer's, heart disease, all these like health,
obesity.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we would save so much money on healthcare. First of all, people would be much happier mentally, also healthier. Oh, and then companies would save a lot more money from bad decisions. Also absenteeism. A lot of people get sick. They don't show up to work. Insomnia is one of the big reasons for that.
All right, let's talk gender.
Yeah.
My sleep issue tends to be I fall asleep just fine. I'm not much of a night owl. I go to bed when I get tired, and that's all fine and good. Right around 2, 3 a.m., I've been asleep for a few hours. I'll wake up. Maybe I'm thirsty. For whatever reason, I wake up, and then I can't fall back asleep. Yeah. My boyfriend has the exact opposite issue. He stays up really late, and he can't I'm just laying there. Yeah. I can't go to bed until like much later, and then his problem is that then he needs to sleep in. Right. And that can be very disruptive for lots of people, depending on, what kind of other things you have to do during your waking hours. Mm-hmm. How are men and women different? Do you find, at least in the research that you've been able to do on this journey, that there are certain signs between men and women and their habits?
So the problems that you're talking about are like very big, two common problem, which is like unable to fall asleep, and the second one is like unable to stay asleep. And then the third problem is like you sleep long hours, but you still feel super tired. That's another problem. In terms of like male and female, I wouldn't touch up on that one. But what I do know is that women tend to have more sleep issues than men, unfortunately. And it's because sleep is impacted by a lot of different things, including hormonal imbalances. And women just in general have that monthly cycle. But also there's like perimenopause, menopause, where you're going through different transitions, and also pregnancy is another one. After that is another one. Mm-hmm. So yeah, women tend to have more sleep issues.
Interesting. So running a company, obviously you're a female entrepreneur. How big is your team now?
We have about 20 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they spread out, or are you all in the Bay Area?
We're all a remote company now.
Cool.
Yeah. We used to be in San Francisco, but now we're remote.
Yeah. A lot of companies have been pushing employees to come back to the place, the office, post-pandemic. Yeah. You're not going to do that.
Too late now, because I've already built our team that's like across, half of our team is on the East Coast.
Got it.
So that would not be a good idea anymore.
Well, it sounds like you don't feel it's necessary, at least not for your company.
Yeah, we haven't A/B tested to see if the productivity is better or not. But yeah, I don't have the option anymore. But also, I actually enjoy working remotely because I have this very interesting schedule where my day starts at like 5 a.m. and my brain doesn't really work after 4 p.m. So I work at different odd hours. Right. So it works out and I think everyone has that kind of like different schedule, and remote work is really good for that. So yeah,
I think probably the flexibility lends itself to exactly what you're trying to achieve, is helping everybody get better sleep, because we're all different, right?
Yeah.
The issues that I have are not the issues that the next person's going to have, and neither are the solutions.
Yeah. So. And getting everyone to come to the office and work at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. which may not be a productive hours for some people, can be not ideal.
Oh, well, it's going to be flexible.
Yeah.
In this day and age. Well, thank you so much for being with us on Speak Bold. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. It was fun to be here.